So you have a big idea that you'd like to incorporate into starting your own shop, whether it be a partnership, a corporation, or whatever kind of corporate structure is allowed in your jurisdiction. You might be wondering about whether it's best that you go into business by yourself, entirely alone, or maybe it's better to go into business with a business partner. Now, the circumstances to which you might be working with a business partner vary greatly. However, big picture, there's a little bit of a blind spot created here in that, what do you look for in a business partner? If this is your first time going into business, this is one of the biggest questions you could ask yourself, if not the biggest. Your dream, you already have that sorted out. You already know the goods or services you like to provide. Acquiring financing, there's forms and applications you fill, that just comes down to the numbers. But what do you look for in a business partner? What do you look for in that one person that you can trust with your dream and doing right by it? In today's video, we're going to be talking about what to look for in a business partner step by step. I have 5 qualities that are at the top of my list, no matter who I'm working with, no matter when I'm working with them, in terms of what I look for in my business partners. And today I'll be sharing those qualities with you one by one. So if that's something you're interested in watching, then stay tuned and we'll discuss all of those 5 qualities in this video. My name is Pamela Metani. I'm the principal lawyer and founder here at Graphene Business Law. Whereas our slogan states, it's all business all the time. We're a business law firm licensed to practice law all over the province of Ontario, Canada, and we do so virtually. Of course, if it's not, already obvious in being all business all the time, we work primarily with business owners and entrepreneurs. Now, going into business with a partner can be one of the best decisions you make for a whole host of reasons. It can also be the worst decision you ever make if you go into business with the wrong partner, because the wrong partner is only going to end up chewing into your profits, your time, your physical and mental health, and could be the reason that everything associated with your business dream falls apart. So in this video, we'll be discussing some of the qualities to look for in a partner so that hopefully you not only eliminate all of the negatives, but you capitalize on all of the positives that can come with working with a business partner. So the first quality I look for in a business partner is big picture compatibility with that person, okay? What do I mean by compatibility? I don't mean compatible in every sense of the word. It's not a dating setup. We're not looking for chemistry and those intangible things. I mean compatibility in the sense of, if you were to write down your big picture goal, where you're going to be 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years from now, and they were to write down their big picture goal from where they would be 1, 3, and 5 years from now, how compatible are you with that goal? For example, when we're talking about big picture compatibility, if you are so dedicated, if you have a mission-driven business, for example, and you are so dedicated to that mission, and your mission comes up nowhere in your potential business partners' top items that drive them, or top items that they'd like to pursue in the next 1, 3, or 5 years, well, that's a sign that you might not be compatible. But if you're both driven by the same mission, that's a really good start. And if you are both driven by how to big picture implement that mission, then you're off to a great start as well. By big picture, again, I'm talking about territories in which you want to practice in. If your dream business, you're thinking of launching it and trying your best bet within the jurisdiction of Ontario, but your partner thinks Hawaii would be the best place to start your business, that's a really big picture difference. And it's going to trickle into every single decision you make. Legal, of course, different legal jurisdictions, different structures that could take place in those places. Financially, different institutions you'd be working with, different qualifications criteria. If you're Canadian, you might not qualify in the US. If they're American, they might not qualify for certain financial benefits here in Canada, and vice versa. Of course, different target markets you'd be working with. Like those big picture items, that's what I mean by compatibility on the big picture. The details in a business never stop, never stop. Just this morning, I had details and I had files come across my desk some of which were new to me after years of being in business, years of being a business owner, with one of those businesses, of course, being Graphene Business Law. Okay, so big picture compatibility is the first thing I look for, because if that box can't be checked, why would we talk about anything else together, myself and this potential business partner? Okay, the second and third thing I look for start with the same term, ability. Okay, ability. But the second item that I look for is ability when it comes to the skills at hand. So if I'm going into business with, let's say, if it's a real estate venture, the substantive abilities I'm going to be looking for is somebody that can understand the real estate markets, somebody that understands lending, leasing, financing, all of the dollar signs associated with the real estate markets, somebody that understands short and long-term rentals, right? So we buy the house, we put the bodies in it. That big picture ability to navigate the substantive field at hand, okay? One caveat that I'll say here is that if you know for sure the role you want to assign to that business partner, then that adds a further layer to the abilities that you should be looking for. What do I mean? If you're starting a business and you are so good at the creative aspect of it, you know, maybe it's an illustration business, it's a graphic design business, and you have that part down pat, you're the most creative person in the room, you know all about, you know, the colors and the shading and the movement and all of that. But you know that your weak spot is the financials of a business. Maybe you're looking for somebody that can keep you on track financially, that understands accounting principles. That adds a further layer to the abilities you're looking at. Because if you are so good creatively, you might not need a second creative business partner, right? You might need a business partner to fit into one of your blind spots, whether it be financial, marketing and advertising, whatever the case may be. So that's the caveat to the second quality, which is substantive abilities. The third quality, regardless of what you're looking for with the second ability, and the third quality you should look for is ability, but of the financial kind. I'm a strong believer that no matter what business you're going into, whether you're cutting hair, whether you're creating the next, you know, Bitcoin bubble situation out there, whether you're selling the most cutting edge, whatever nano materials on earth that you've just patented, whatever it is, you are not good enough and so good that you should not pay any attention to your finances. Because at the end of the day, you're going into business, of course, to help some problem that you see in the world, especially so if you're a mission-driven business, but you want to do so while getting fed yourself. You're not going into business to starve out. So the dollar signs are of extreme importance in bringing money home to you and your family, or whatever that situation may be, but also to paying the basic bills of survival in this business, whether it's rent or utilities or advertising, whatever you have. Every business has a bill to pay. Every business, no matter how big or small. And insofar as that's involved, what are we paying these bills with? Money. So whatever partner you go into business with should have at least a basic understanding of money. Because if both of you are at that state where it's like, we'll just hire it out, I don't know how this works, put it on the tab, I don't know how this works, you are going to run into some catastrophic issues. Pay close attention to the dollar signs of your business. Take whatever courses you can. There's literally free courses online that I remember taking when I was in my early 20s, just to educate myself. You know what I'm talking about. You see them advertised all the time, like an hour session here and there. Out of that hour session, you're gonna get maybe 30 seconds of benefit, but that 30 seconds of benefit, you apply it every day and it rolls into tremendous benefit for you. And if you attend enough of these sessions and you come out with just one takeaway from each session, your business savvy increases significantly. And your partner should be on that same boat with you. Knowledge levels can vary. You don't have to be wizards of the finance world, because if you were, maybe you'd be in that line of business. But you need to have a basic understanding of accounting principles, of the bills you have to pay, of how assets and liabilities work, of how expenses and revenue work, of what's recurring for you, what isn't, what are set costs, what are not. you need a basic understanding of those as well. There are certain financials that even more sophisticated, more financially sophisticated individuals do outsource. Tax items might be one of those. You don't need to be a tax specialist, but you need to big picture understand how that works for your business, okay? The fourth quality I look for is risk tolerance. Personally, it depends the business I'm going into. There are some businesses where my risk tolerance is really high. In other words, I'm willing to be super risky in that business because the payback might be so significant, or because I'm so confident in my knowledge base of that industry that when I look to my, right, and when I look to my left, I'm gonna do better 10 times out of 10 than the people on both of those sides because of how confident I am in my knowledge base. Okay, so there are industries where I'm willing to be very risky in, and there's industries where it's the best thing you could do is be as risk averse as possible. And even within whatever your industry is, there are items that you should, again, big picture, be willing to risk and not be willing to risk. So if you're, willing to play around, for example, in a new spa business, advertising that business, and you have a lot of risk tolerance in signing up with different advertisers and seeing how things go and pouring money out there, you should still, big picture, keep the overall, keep your first principles in mind. So if your first principle is to not jeopardize your family finances, for example, no matter how much money you throw into that advertising pot, you should never put your house on the line. You should never put your car on the line if that's what's getting, yourself to work every day and your kids to school every day. So within the risk tolerance, there are, again, layers to risk tolerance. Big picture conversations need to be had first, including with the question, hey, tell me about your risk tolerance. What would you be willing to bet and what would you not be willing to bet against this business or for this business? And then you take it from there. But risk tolerance is a really important quality. There are times risk tolerance shows up both in good and in bad times for a business. In good times, it shows up how much more fuel do we add to this fire, taking the risk that it might not work, but if it does, we'll get a really high reward. So that's in good times. In bad times, risk tolerance comes up, we're looking around, we have $100 in our bank account. What are we willing to risk to get, 100 customers through the door in the next week and save this business? What do we risk? Do we take out a loan to just dump it into advertising? Do we take out a loan to make an extra shiny banner and attract more physical attention to our storefront? What is that last pebble we're trying to turn over? And what's our risk appetite for that? If you take out the loans, what interest rates, things like that. So risk, while the word might be negative or scary in and of itself, having a healthy attitude toward risk is just that, it's healthy. But where do you draw the line, and where does your potential business partner draw the line? The fifth item I look for, and remember I said there would be 5 items, this is my 5th of 5. This is, to me, the least important personally, and that's going to be you having to align with your partner on where this quality stands for the two of you. But the 5th quality I look for is a umbrella category of human characteristics. And I know that's a funny way to say it, but basically what I'm saying is how passionate is your potential partner about your business? Okay, what kind of person are they? Are they a nice person? Are they the kind of person that when they pick up the phone, everybody's like, hey, Joe, nice to see you, how you been? Is Joe that kind of person? Or is Joe the kind of person that when he calls, he's nagging everybody, he's angry, he's yelling, he's grumpy, and people are like, God, it's Joe. So what kind of human being are you getting into bed with, so to speak? Is Joe the kind of person that you've seen, talking smack about every business partner he's had in the past, and it's always the other partner's fault? Or is Joe the kind of person that is eager to learn, and he's accountable, and he's respectful, and he's responsible, right? These soft qualities. Now, the reason for me personally that this item is last, and it depends on your sophistication level and on your confidence and your knowledge base. If, for example, Joe is the world's greatest guy, but I'm not compatible with him big picture, he's crazy when it comes to taking risks, he has no financial literacy whatsoever, and he has no skills to offer the business. Would I go into business with Joe? No. taking it to the other extreme end of the spectrum, the other absolute. If Joe is 100% compatible on my big picture, if Joe is super savvy financially, if Joe has relevant skills to offer my business, and Joe has a healthy attitude toward risk, but maybe Joe just isn't the nicest guy, or he has some grumpy days, or whatever the case may be, would I consider going into business with Joe? Yeah, I would want to talk about a few more things, but he's definitely on the table. Because if all of these things at the top are, well, that I personally ranked higher, well, the chance that we get into conflict owing to Joe's, owing to Joe's humanness, then those chances are minimized. However, if Joe is just the best guy on earth, I mean, it's the fact of business, right? Kevin O'Leary says your attitude into business should be that you'd be willing to fire your mother today, okay? So if Joe's the nicest guy in the world, but he knows nothing and he can't help me substantively at all, what am I gonna do? Like, just count my $0 of monthly income with Joe and say he's a nice guy? No, niceness doesn't pay the bills. So you should have a really critical eye to the human qualities you're getting into business with as well, and how they go against yours. Other qualities, for example, within that humanness category I mentioned are, is Joe open-minded? Are you open-minded? You don't always need to be. You don't need to be open-minded when it comes to, settling for your dream necessarily. You don't need to be open-minded when it comes to pursuing an avenue of income that you're not comfortable with. A lot of things sell on the market now that, a lot of people don't touch those industries. So human qualities matter as well, but for my purposes, I rank them 5th of the 5 qualities I'm looking for. There are of course other qualities you should look for when you go into business with a partner, but you're not going to go anywhere without starting with these 5. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, give this video a big thumbs up, and don't forget to click on the subscribe button down below. And if you're a business owner if you're a business owner in Ontario that's found your special business partner and you're now looking to legally and officially implement some sort of structure or growth agreements, their partnership agreements, shareholders agreements, whatever the case may be in Ontario, please give us an email, info at graphenebusinesslaw.ca, and of course our website where you can book an appointment is graphenebusinesslaw.ca. Thank you for watching.